At Emory, it's my very great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the South Asian Studies program here, and dare I say, Sainath, aid as well. It's a pleasure to have you here and to introduce and welcome P. Sainath, who's a remarkable man for his and this generation. P. Sainath is an award-winning, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
He's an award-winning Indian journalist and author dedicating to recording an India that is seldom visible. He has won over 30 national and international awards and fellowships in his 26 years as a dedicated journalist, and the awards include the Raman Magsaysay Award, often referred to as the Asian Nobel, for journalism, literature, and creative communication arts, the A.H. Burma Award in 2001, and the Amnesty International Global Award for Human Rights Journalism in 2000. In July 2004, he was awarded the Prem Bhatia Award for Excellence in Political Reporting and Analysis in recognition of his, I'll quote here, outstanding, indeed exceptional work on the problems of the poorest of the poor, especially in Andhra Pradesh, unquote. He is the Rural Affairs Editor at The Hindu, a contributor for India Together, and the author of Everybody Loves a Good Drought. His work has won praise from the likes of Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, who has referred to him as one of the world's great experts on famine and hunger. P. Sainath reminds us that globalization is a beast with many faces. As another observer of globalization, Salman Rushdie, has put it, some of them are always sad. Please join me in welcoming P. Sainath.
Can you hear me clearly back there? May I request the audience to join me, to rise and join me in a minute's silence in memory of the over 180 people killed in Mumbai. Not in any way connected with the subject that I'm speaking on today, but there's a connection with something that's been written. I've been looking at authors and writers talking about the resilience and spirit of Bombay, going back to work the very next day, and if you actually look at it from the perspective of the people who are going back to work the very next day, it's not just about resilience and courage. The vast majority of that city's population cannot eat if they do not work. It's as simple as that. So even if you're terrified, even if you're horrified, even if you are really worried, you just go back and so I found myself a little uncomfortable with the, with that view of it as I did, with the view of Taj Hotel being the iconic symbol of Mumbai, for God's sake. say that of maybe the gateway of India. Right? The much greater symbol was that of the Victoria terminus, where the maximum number of people died, and much more people were wounded, but which got far less play because it's not a five-star hotel, and basically 3 million poor people who use those trains, or less well-off people who use the railway station. It also seems to have the two suburban railway lines of Bombay, the Western and Central line, Churchgate and VT. These two railway lines carry 6.2 million passenger trips a day. That's more than, say, the population of Finland or countries like that, every day. And Victoria Terminus accounts for about 3.5 million of that, now called Chhatrapati Shivaji train terminus. Also, because of the focus being where it was, not many people are aware that the one gunman taken alive was not taken by army commandos or special action forces. He was taken by a couple of typical Bombay policemen with lathis, with batons. They went after a guy with an AK-47 and brought him down. Okay. You could see the Indian baton. It's not like the one the American police carry. It's just a thin stick of bamboo. The two guys, the only guy taken alive from the attackers was taken by a couple. Now, the reason I mention this is that those two policemen, go and see how they live. They belong to that class which, if they don't work, they don't eat. They come from the chawls and the slums of Bombay. That's where they come, because most havaldars and constables will live in such conditions. That's Bombay. Bombay is also the capital of the state of Maharashtra, the richest state in many ways, home to the Mumbai Stock Exchange, etc., etc., etc. Here's a much less known fact about Mumbai, apart from the fact that 180 people died in this appalling outrage, which all of you are aware of. The state of Maharashtra has seen 34,000 farmers commit suicide in 10 years between 1997 and 2006. Now the new data coming out for 2007, which takes the total to over 38,000 farm suicides. These are the pictures of the farmers who committed suicides or their families, portraits of those families. I don't think you have read much or seen much about that. These are not 200 people, they are 38,000 who have committed suicide since 1997 as part of an agrarian crisis, the largest we have had since the eve of the Green Revolution. But let me take you to a bright side of it. One of my favorite amusements is surfing websites of institutions that simply did not exist in India 15 years ago. Okay. They're really wonderful because when you're talking about those policemen and Victoria Terminus, you're talking about another Bombay, you're talking about another Mumbai, you're talking about incredible disparity and inequality that characterizes that city and which characterizes Indian development of the last 15, 20 years. Let me take that a little further and tell you about, say, let's look at schools, the kind of schools that have come up since 1991, 92. Well, one of them is a very old school, but let me take you through two schools. You can look up their websites. It's fascinating.